I'm Mitch Jacobson. I'm involved in the show Artists in Quarantine. I'm fascinated by the subject and how our lives are being changed by that which is transpiring. I practice medicine. I'm an endocrinologist. I became interested in art history when I was going to college. I became fascinated by photography later. I eventually became a collector and a practitioner. I've learned a lot from looking at how the real successes have occurred, and I love it. I am happy to participate in the show and present what I think is perfectly appropriate with the time and place and that which we are experiencing. I'm essentially a street photographer. What that means is I'm pounding the pavement looking for images that I can complete. I am very interested in what I call the theater of the street. That act, that look, that interests me. Cartier-Bresson, famous French photographer, talked about the decisive moment, the look, the action that's there for a fleeting second. Hopefully you can achieve it. Hopefully you can see it. Now it takes preparation. So I may find a spot I want to be. I want the light to be what it needs to be. But on the other hand, you have to be lucky. Sometimes you have to move to the next spot because you didn't get it before. But as I'm walking the street, I find I'm increasingly fascinated by graffiti. The work on the walls, on the billboards, wherever, that tells a story. I love the graffiti because I love the color, I love the shape, I love the form, all of those elements. Now, the image I want to talk about today in particular is there are messages. There are not only the other art forms that you see in an image, but you see a comment made. There's an image that's very complicated, but there's a comment in it that I love. It says, "The only magic I still believe in is love." I think that's wonderful. Now, the image that we're going to talk about today is an image of a masked man. This masked man happens to be Batman. Batman, for those of you who don't know, was a comic book character who was born in 1939, the same year actually I was born, 1939. And Batman was a good guy. He had witnessed the murder of his mother and his father. And at that point in time, he resigned himself. He resolved that he was going to go after the criminal element in his city, Gotham City. Batman sometimes wore a mask, sometimes he wore a cape with a hood. In the past, sometimes the good guys wore masks, sometimes the bad guys wore masks, but wearing masks was not a particularly unusual thing. In this particular image, this is painted on a brick wall. You can see the brick wall through it. The color is great, the shape is great, all of this other information is great, but what he says is, it's not who I am underneath the mask, but what I do that defines me. I think that's really important. So he was a superhero. Who are the superheroes now? I would maintain that the superheroes now are the first responders. They're the doctors, the nurses, the staff in the emergency room, in the intensive care units. I think these are the superheroes today, and they wear masks. This is an image I really love. I took it on the streets of Amsterdam not too many years ago. There's this man who looks like he's probably a Middle Eastern man, and the wording behind him says, "How can peace be so violent?" I think that is germane to that which is transpiring now. We are at peace. Life was wonderful. Life has changed, and it will be changed forever thereafter. This is a photograph that I took in Wynwood here in Miami not too long ago. Again, it's graffiti, and I love it. And I love several aspects of this particular photograph. In the background, you see graffiti on the walls. The color is bold. There's a motorcycle. There's a person going into a store. There's an automobile. All of that's interesting. But the main interest is focused here. What are you seeing on the wall of the graffiti? You're seeing roses, flowers, beautiful flowers, being devoured by an alligator's mouth. So that, I feel, relevant to what's happening today. I call this beauty and the beast. The beauty is all around us. The beast today is the coronavirus.